There comes a sacred season in every life when heaven gently calls a soul away from the noise. It is not a season of punishment. It is not a season of abandonment. It is a season of rebuilding. The world celebrates what is loud, what is visible, what is applauded. But God often does his greatest work where no audience can see. The deepest miracles are born in silence. Perhaps you have wondered why the doors became quiet, why certain people walked away, why the applause faded, why your plans seemed to stop moving. You thought something had gone wrong. But what if heaven was protecting the work that is taking place within you? A building under renovation is often closed to the public, not because it has lost its value, but because the work inside is too important to be interrupted. God has never been impressed by appearances. He looks into the hidden places of the heart. Before he entrusts someone with greater influence, he strengthens their character. Before he raises someone higher, he teaches them to stand firmly in private. Before he blesses openly, he often transforms quietly. Many people are exhausted because they spend more energy explaining themselves than changing themselves. They announce every dream before it has taken root. They seek approval before they have found purpose. But there is a holy wisdom in silence. Silence protects what is still growing. Silence allows faith to become stronger than opinions. Silence teaches you to depend upon God's voice instead of human applause. There are battles that cannot be won through arguments. There are victories that cannot be achieved by proving yourself to everyone around you. Some battles are won on your knees. Some victories are born in secret prayer. Some breakthroughs happen when no one knows you are crying before God in the middle of the night. Do not fear the hidden season. The seed is hidden before it becomes a harvest. The foundation is hidden before the house stands. The roots are hidden before the tree bears fruit. Everything that lasts is first developed where no one is watching. When God begins rebuilding a life, he removes what cannot support the future he has prepared. Sometimes he removes unhealthy relationships. Sometimes he removes pride. Sometimes he removes distractions. Sometimes he even removes opportunities that seem good because he is preparing something far greater. Every removal has a purpose when it is placed in the hands of God. You may feel forgotten today, but heaven has not forgotten your name. You may feel unseen by people, but the eyes of God have never left you. He knows every tear you have cried. He knows every silent prayer you have whispered. He knows every disappointment you have carried without telling anyone. The greatest danger during a rebuilding season is impatience. We want immediate results. We want quick recognition. We want everyone to see the progress. But spiritual rebuilding is not rushed. Brick by brick, lesson by lesson, prayer by prayer. God forms a life that can carry his purpose without collapsing under pressure. Your silence is not weakness. It is strength under the direction of God. It is refusing to waste your energy on unnecessary battles. It is choosing growth over attention. It is allowing your character to become louder than your words. There are moments when people misunderstand your silence. They may think you have given up. They may think you have lost your passion. Let them think what they will. God has never needed public opinion to accomplish his plans. Noah built while people laughed. Joseph waited while others forgot him. David was prepared in lonely fields before standing before nations. The hidden years are never wasted. Every prayer shapes your spirit. Every trial deepens your faith. Every disappointment teaches dependence upon God instead of circumstances. What seems like delay is often divine preparation. Stop comparing your journey with someone else's highlight. You do not know the price they paid. You do not know the lessons they learned. God writes every story differently because every purpose is unique. Rebuild your mind. Replace fear with faith. Replace bitterness with forgiveness. Replace doubt with trust. Rebuild your heart by returning to the presence of God each day. Rebuild your habits until discipline becomes stronger than emotion. Rebuild your vision until you see yourself the way heaven sees you. Silence is where identity is restored. It is where broken confidence becomes holy confidence. It is where wounded hearts become compassionate hearts. It is where pride becomes humility and weakness becomes strength through God's power. The enemy wants you to believe that because no one sees your progress, nothing is happening. But heaven measures differently. God celebrates every hidden victory, every temptation resisted, every act of obedience, every moment you choose faith instead of fear. Every time you forgive when revenge seems easier. Every quiet decision to remain faithful is another stone placed into the life. God is rebuilding. One day, the doors will open again. The opportunities will return. The favor will become visible. People will wonder how you became so strong, so peaceful, so steady. They will only see the finished building. They will not see the silent nights, the faithful prayers, the hidden tears, the surrendered dreams, and the countless moments when God patiently rebuilt every broken place inside your soul. When that day comes, you will understand that silence was never your prison. It was your sanctuary. It was the workshop where heaven restored what life had damaged. It was the place where God prepared you for a future greater than anything your past could have imagined. There are seasons in life when everything becomes unusually quiet. The invitations slow down. The recognition disappears. The people who once surrounded you seem to move on with their own lives. In those moments, it is easy to believe that you have been forgotten or left behind. Yet some of the holiest seasons are not filled with noise, but with silence. God has never needed a crowd to transform a life. He has always done his deepest work in the hidden places where only he can see. The world teaches that visibility is proof of success. It tells you that if people are not talking about you, celebrating you, or applauding you, then you are not making progress. But heaven measures differently. God is not impressed by popularity. He is concerned with purity. He is not looking for people who merely appear successful before others. He is looking for hearts that remain faithful when no one is watching. Think about how a seed begins its journey. It is buried beneath the ground where no one notices it. Days pass without any visible evidence that life is growing. To someone standing above the soil, it appears as though nothing is happening. Yet, beneath the surface, roots are stretching deeper. Strength is developing before beauty appears. If the seed demanded to be seen before its roots were ready, it would never survive the storms that would eventually come. Many believers become discouraged because they judge their lives by what they can see. They mistake silence for absence. They mistake waiting for failure. They mistake hidden preparation for rejection. But God often hides those he intends to use greatly. He protects them from distractions. He shields them from unnecessary attention. He allows them to grow in places where pride cannot easily take root. When heaven begins rebuilding a person, it often starts with the inner life. Long before circumstances change, attitudes begin to change. Long before doors open, the heart becomes softer. Long before the blessing becomes visible, the soul becomes stronger. God works from the inside outward because lasting transformation always begins within. There are prayers that only silence can teach. When every human voice becomes quiet, the voice of God becomes easier to recognize. When every distraction fades, His presence becomes more precious than public approval. The hidden season invites you to depend upon Him instead of depending upon compliments, recognition, or constant affirmation from people. Many people spend years trying to build an impressive image while neglecting the condition of their soul. They polish the outside while the inside grows weary. God refuses to build His purpose upon a weak foundation. Before He enlarges your influence, He enlarges your character. Before He increases your responsibility, He increases your spiritual maturity. Before He entrusts you with more, He teaches you how to remain faithful with what seems small. The hidden season is also a place where motives are purified. It becomes clear whether you truly desire God's presence or merely the blessings He can provide. It reveals whether your faith depends upon visible results or upon His unchanging character. In silence, selfish ambitions begin to fade, and a deeper hunger for God's will begins to rise. Sometimes you ask God to change your situation while He is focused on changing you. You pray for a different environment, but He is cultivating a different heart. You ask Him to remove every difficulty, but He uses those very challenges to produce patience, wisdom, humility, and unwavering trust. The greatest miracle is often not the change around you, but the change within you. Do not become impatient when your progress cannot yet be seen. A strong foundation is never built in a single day. Brick by brick, prayer by prayer, lesson by lesson, God is establishing something that can endure every storm. The silence is not empty. It is filled with His unseen work. Every moment spent seeking Him is adding strength to your spirit. Every act of quiet obedience is shaping your future. Every sacrifice made in secret is known by heaven, even if no one else ever notices it. While others chase attention, choose the presence of God. While others compete for recognition, choose faithfulness. While others measure success by applause, allow your greatest desire to be a heart that pleases Him. The hidden season is not a delay in God's plan. It is the very place where He forms the person He intends to reveal at the appointed time. Every rebuilding season begins with removal. This is one of the hardest truths to accept, because we naturally celebrate what is added to our lives, not what is taken away. Yet God often prepares His greatest blessings by first clearing away everything that cannot support the future He has planned. What feels like loss may actually be divine preparation. What appears to be an ending may simply be the beginning of a stronger foundation. There are moments when relationships suddenly change. People you expected to stay quietly drift away. Opportunities you worked hard to secure unexpectedly disappear. Doors you prayed would open remain firmly closed. At first, these moments can leave your heart filled with question. You wonder if you have failed, or if God has become silent. But heaven never removes without purpose. Every loving Father knows that unhealthy things must sometimes be removed before healthy things can grow. Imagine a gardener caring for a beautiful tree. To someone unfamiliar with gardening, it may seem cruel to cut away healthy-looking branches, yet the gardener understands that pruning allows the tree to become stronger and more fruitful. The branches that are removed are not always dead. Sometimes they simply prevent greater growth. In the same way, God sees beyond what is comfortable today. He sees what will either strengthen or weaken your future. Sometimes He removes pride, because pride cannot carry His glory. Pride seeks recognition, but humility seeks His presence. Pride depends upon personal strength, but humility depends upon God's power. A heart filled with pride cannot fully receive what heaven desires to pour into it. The rebuilding process often begins with teaching us that our greatest strength is found in complete dependence upon Him. There are also distractions that quietly steal our focus without us even realizing it. Not every distraction is sinful. Some are simply unnecessary. They consume our time, our energy, and our attention until we slowly drift away from the things that matter most. God lovingly removes these distractions, not to make life empty, but to make room for what truly matters. When unnecessary noise fades, His voice becomes clearer. Old habits must sometimes be dismantled before new disciplines can be established. Fear, resentment, impatience, and constant worry may have become familiar companions over the years. They shape our decisions without us noticing. Yet God refuses to build a new future upon old patterns of thinking. He invites us to surrender every habit that weakens our faith, so that new habits of prayer, gratitude, obedience, and trust can take their place. There are dreams we hold so tightly that we leave little room for God's greater plans. We become attached to our own expectations, believing we know exactly how our future should unfold. But God's wisdom reaches far beyond our limited understanding. Sometimes He closes the very door we have been knocking on because another path leads to something far greater than we could have imagined. His refusals are often expressions of His protection. During this season, it is tempting to cling to what God is asking us to release. We try to revive relationships He has allowed to end. We chase opportunities He has quietly closed. We resist change because familiarity feels safer than faith. Yet every time we hold on to yesterday, we make it harder to embrace tomorrow. Faith often requires open hands instead of tightly closed fists. The rebuilding process also removes false identities. Many people define themselves by their careers, achievements, possessions, popularity, or the approval of others. When these things disappear, they feel as though they have lost themselves. But your identity has never been found in temporary things. It has always been rooted in the One who created you. God removes false foundations, so your confidence can rest securely in His unchanging love. Do not mistake divine pruning for divine rejection. The hand that removes is the same hand that restores. The God who allows certain chapters to close is already writing new ones, filled with greater purpose. Every loss surrendered into His hands becomes part of a larger story that He alone can see. Every painful goodbye creates space for a better hello. Every difficult surrender becomes another stone laid into the strong foundation He is carefully building within your life. The greatest victories that people celebrate are almost always born Before a life becomes a testimony in public, it is shaped through countless private moments, known only to God. Heaven has always valued hidden preparation more than public performance. While the world admires the visible result, God delights in the unseen process. He is far more interested in who you are becoming than in how many people notice you. Many people desire influence without preparation. They pray for open doors while neglecting the private disciplines that make them ready to walk through those doors. They long for greater responsibility, but resist the quiet seasons where wisdom, humility, and endurance are developed. God never rushes preparation because He loves His children too much to place them in positions they are not yet ready to carry. His timing is never delayed by accident. It is guided by perfect wisdom. There is a sacred classroom that exists behind closed doors. No audience applauds there. No recognition is given. No one posts about those moments or celebrates them publicly. Yet this is where genuine strength is formed. It is where prayer becomes more than words. It is where faith grows deeper than feelings. It is where trust is built, not because circumstances are easy, but because God remains faithful, even when nothing seems to be changing. Private obedience has always been the pathway to public purpose. Every quiet decision to choose righteousness instead of compromise becomes another stone in the foundation God is building. Every temptation resisted when no one is watching strengthens the soul. Every act of forgiveness offered in secret softens the heart. Every hour spent seeking God's presence instead of chasing attention prepares you for assignments that require spiritual maturity rather than human ability. The enemy often whispers that hidden faithfulness does not matter because no one notices it. He wants you to believe that unless people applaud your efforts, they have no value. But heaven keeps perfect record of every unseen sacrifice. God sees every tear that falls during lonely prayers. He sees every act of kindness performed without recognition. He sees every moment when you choose integrity, even though dishonesty might have seemed easier. Nothing done in obedience is ever wasted in His sight. Patience is one of the greatest lessons learned during private preparation. We naturally want immediate answers and visible progress. We want every prayer to be answered quickly and every dream to unfold without delay. Yet God's timetable is different from ours. He is preparing not only the blessing, but also the person who will receive it. If character does not grow alongside opportunity, success can become a burden instead of a blessing. Consider how foundations are built. The strongest part of a building is the part that remains hidden beneath the ground. No visitor admires the foundation because it cannot be seen. Yet without it, the entire structure would collapse. In the same way, your private life supports everything God desires to build publicly. A weak foundation cannot sustain a great calling. Hidden strength makes lasting influence possible. Many people become discouraged because they compare their hidden season with someone else's visible success. Comparison steals joy and creates unnecessary frustration. Every person walks a unique journey designed by God. Some seasons are longer than others because some assignments require deeper preparation. Trusting His process means believing that He knows exactly how much time is needed to shape your heart for the future He has planned. Private preparation also teaches complete dependence upon God instead of human approval. When no applause is available, your relationship with Him becomes your greatest source of encouragement. You begin serving because you love Him, not because others notice you. You pray because you desire His presence, not because someone expects it. You remain faithful because obedience becomes your highest priority rather than recognition. One day the doors God has prepared will begin to open. Opportunities will arrive that no human effort could have created. People may look at your life and assume everything happened suddenly, but they will not see the countless hours of hidden prayer, the seasons of waiting, the quiet victories over fear, the surrendered ambitions, the lessons learned through disappointment, and the unwavering trust that was built when no one else was watching. They will witness the fruit, but heaven will remember the roots that grew silently beneath the surface before the harvest ever appeared.